Welcome, guys, to our today's episode. Our topic of today is drugs and addiction. With me is a panel of experts. A panel of experts wenye discuss now crack now that topic. So I'll start with a brief introduction from my far right.
Hello, I'm Esther Opondo.
I am Wakwanalo William Sware.
Hi, I am Nicole Njoki.
Hello, I'm Sherry Nauma.
Hello, I'm Beth Wairimo.
Hi, I'm Ian Ocheno.
And I'm Donald Miseda. So we are going to start straight by finding the meaning of the two words, drugs and addiction. So I'm going to ask any of us to define the word drug or drugs.
A drug is a substance. When you take it, it will alter the normal functioning of your body.
Anyone else? Definition of drug?
A drug is something which is induced. When induced to a body system, it alters the function of the body, be it psychological or physical functioning.
Thank you. I think those definitions are straight, and I don't think we don't agree with the same unless someone has another definition. We are going to define addiction. Anyone? Definition of addiction. This could be out of bar addiction, not only in terms of drugs. Addiction.
It is a progressive disease whereby it starts from one stage to another. There is one stage which is called the functioning individual stage. This is where an individual is able to function well in the different sectors of life, but is really suffering with addiction. And this is the most common to us and all the people out there. The other stage is the last stage whereby there is a non-functioning addict. This is where an individual is not able to perform well in the different sectors, and even he or she is using the drugs to replace one or two things.
An addiction is a situation where you are used to something. Umezoea kitu yenye kuiacha ni ngumu. Be it the drugs, be it those other stuff, music and all that. You cannot go a day without it, kabisa. For me, that's what an addiction is. Yeah.
Just to add on that, there are two types of, I started by saying that it is a progressive disease. It starts from using a small amount to a larger amount. There are two types of addiction. There is the chemical addiction and the behavioral addiction. The first addiction, chemical addiction, this is the abuse of substances, the use of substances. And the other behavioral, it is about the impulsive behaviors whereby it is persistent over time. And apart from under chemical addiction, there is the use of drugs like inhalants, there is cocaine, such. And under behavioral addiction, there is the sex addiction, internet addiction, gambling addiction.
So those are examples of addiction, not definition of addiction.
A definition.
What chenye umesema ni the last points example of addiction, then the stages of addiction. But what tumulizwa, what is an addiction? So like the sex addiction, drug addiction, all that is something yenye, it's a continuous thing yenye once imeingia kwa system yako kuacha ni ngumu. As in you feel like kama hujaifanya kabisa nika ni mzigo umebeba. So unless you do it is when you'll feel that a little bit relieved. Yeah, that's how you define.
I still stand with what I said. It is a progressive disease.
Yes, it is. Then it involves reward. It is something that you want to satisfy your body in that you are craving for something. And addiction starts by, actually many people do not know that they are addicted until it reach a point that wanaona kuna nini results that they unaona hiyo venye tu ulikuwa unasema,
Until you get the satisfaction that you
until
want.
you get the satisfaction you want to keep on like satisfying your body, satisfying the cravings. And that's why she came about by saying there are different types. There are examples of addiction. Yes.
Yeah, so that's what the examples of addiction are coming in. So
Yeah.
I'm still sticking
It
to
is a
mine.
brain disinfectional.
I'm still sticking to mine. Yeah.
Okay, I think all that you're saying are correct. Like the first part of your statement is a definition of addiction. And then when we come to breaking it down to the types of addiction, you're also right. So every statement that you're making here is making sense. Yes. And I see, hii paneli, leo ni moto. Okay. So on our next segment, need us to really tell people outside there or discuss, I want us to discuss about signs of drug addiction. You know, we have a lot of, like we just mentioned earlier, kuna addictions mingi. But today we wanted to focus on drugs and addiction, like drug addiction. So I want us to maybe each one of us to give us a point about any sign that maybe ukiona kwangu utaona like I'm addicted to something, I'm addicted to the drug or such kind of thing. So maybe anyone with any sign of drug addiction.
One of them is wanting to use them more. This I'll base it with an individual. You know that you are addicted when you want to take it more and more. The urge of taking it excess. Yeah, that's one of the sign of drug addiction.
Or anyone else?
Oh, yeah. Another sign is you must have it one way or another. The right way, the illegal way, ni lazima uipate.
Okay. The next person.
Another sign is in relationships, you sometimes ignore your partner, or you are not the same way you used to be when you were together in that relationship.
Are you talking about shifting your priorities? Okay.
And may behave abnormal and start to have weird behaviors and lack of interest in things which they used to love. Like they will start withdrawing to things which they used to give much attention to.
Another one, you can actually see where one is not comfortable, there is discomfort in them.
Another one. Mkushua mmesema zote. Hizi signs ni mingi. Signs of addiction.
Another one, health-wise, the person may develop some different habits like overfeeding, cravings for some kind of food that is junk food. That's part of the health sign.
Is it junk food alone? Like
Example is junk.
Can I ask a question in relation to that? Craving a particular food, junk food, etc. Sindio? The ladies, I think you'll understand me. When a lady or a woman is expectant, there's a particular craving anakuwa nayo. Will you say that that's a sign of drug addiction? Okay, I may specify signs of drug addiction. So I'm asking if a lady, or you're just craving anything. You are walking along the street, then you've seen these fast food joints. Umeanza kuikravia. Can you really say that that's a sign of drug addiction. As in,
Oh.
make me understand.
Let us. What is craving in the first place? Because we might be using it wrongly. What is
So
craving?
kutamani.
Urge,
Craving ni?
kutaka.
Must it be strong?
Yeah.
Okay. So is craving, or rather, if you're craving for something, is that an addiction
Maybe craving for the substance.
for the substance?
Yeah, craving for the substance.
Okay.
I think that's you want
I think
to
he needs
take
to
it.
break down that nini ndio ieleweke. That's why nimemuuliza about that craving. A particular example, because the expectant women is actually the perfect example for that. They have specific cravings and weird ones. Yeah. Now can you say that that's a sign of drug addiction? Because it would try to make me understand.
Maybe a person was, the changing habits has changed. A person's normal habit is used to taking some type of food, or generally takes food normally, but this time you may find he feeds more, he takes more food, he Mashuksha. Someone just wants to take different specific type of food like junk food. You want junk food to feed your addiction. Your feeding habits are not normal.
I think I can back him up. Let's give it an example. Let's use alcohol. Yeah, alcohol. Let's say if you're taking alcohol, he said you'll have eating disorders. He first started like saying you will have eating disorders, like you'll be craving for other things, and it will be very abnormal seeing me craving for things like that's not you, that's another person. It can be a sign. It is a sign of addiction. At first, when we started defining addiction, what is addiction? It is, I still stick with mine, it is progressive. You see, there are different eating disorders, even sleeping. Yeah.
It affects your normal.
I want us to really consider some other factors. You see, when we talk about craving your food, when you talk about pregnancy, when we talk about gender, it is expected maybe according to gender that male will consume a lot and maybe watakuwa nataka kukula most of the time. I think that is not addiction. You see, those are the underlying factors that maybe are directed to a situation or maybe a period of time. Like if you are pregnant and you know when you're pregnant, there is change in hormonal behavior in your body and everything. So such might make you do things that might look like addiction, but maybe they are not. And for example, if today tuko na wewe and you see naingia kitchen sana, you should maybe consider the fact that maybe I'm male. You know, when you do biology, kuna kitu inaitwa basal metabolic rate ya men iko juu than ya ladies. So such kind of things. When we are tackling this, we should really have the other factors pressed well, so that we don't get out of it. So I want us to really focus on substance abuse, like to abuse the substance, the drug itself. I want us to talk about the effect of the drug itself on us, the causes, the signs. Like ukiniangalia hivi, utasema mimi niko addicted to drug. Unaona? Like nasema the
That's
thing,
hard. Hiyo ni ngumu sana. Hiyo ni okay. Kukuangalia peke yake, I might end up misjudging you.
but unaona ukiniangalia, you're making a physical observation, so it could be behavioral. Like if you see me, you have to see me to see my behaviors, ndio? Yes, that is what I'm talking about. Si ati uniangalie hivi useme ati unakaa unatumianga drugs. No, it can't work like that. You see? Yeah. So I want us to tackle it in that manner. So we are together. Yes, and then later on I have a segment that we can talk about what I call them the top 5 addictions, maybe in youth. There are some addictions that we shouldn't just forget and really focus on drugs, because not only drugs would maybe pose us the dangers that the other addiction might pose us to as well. So we'll get to that segment that we talk about other types of addictions. and the effects. Are we okay up to that? Yes. So I think all of you have really mentioned at least one or two signs of addiction, and they're right. These are things we see. These are things we've heard on, we've heard of, we've seen them. Hata ziko kwa movie pia, tushazi imagine pia. And some of us have also been into the same situations. Maybe our parents, maybe our siblings, such kind of things. Yeah. So from that segment of signs of drug addiction, I want us to come to causes of drug addiction. You guys might give me a point, or we can go. We can go through a segment like. Okay, let us do this. I want you guys to maybe mention a few causes of drug addiction.
In youths and teens, one cause of drug addiction can be peer pressure, whereby you are encouraging each other, like, let us try this, let us try that. And finally, you find yourself indulging in drugs.
Curiosity.
Physical or psychological abuse.
Okay.
Stress.
Okay.
Able explain. Able to explain further your in stress.
Okay, stress inaweza fanya mtu abuse drugs in a way like you are running away from something. Like someone who unataka forget your problems. So unasema wacha leo niende nikunywe, at least you'll be high. Yes.
Another cause of drug addiction can be mental health disorders, whereby one has anxiety disorder, one has depression, and when he wants to go away with a certain emotion, it spearheads it.
Okay. For example, if your parents walikuwa wanauza pombe, you are prone to get drug.
Exposure, like your parents were doing it, so ulikuwa unawaona.
Ama the background.
Yeah, exactly.
History.
Yeah, background history. But
So what you're really talking about is called social exposure. So like ulikuwa brought up in an environment where people are doing drugs, people are doing, and everyone you see around was doing drugs. There are chances that you might end up doing drugs. But then I have a question. Must that be a reason for you to be a drug addict?
it depends. It depends.
So
If you're exposed to that, basically it depends on your principles and discipline. Not personality, principle and discipline. You can be among friends, ngoja kidogo nimalize. You can be among friends who are exposed to drugs, but it's upon you to decide to walk away or stay. If you stay there, definitely bad company corrupt good morals. You have to understand that. If you're with your friends, they are doing that, now that's where peer pressure will come in. They'll pressure you. Then out of there, curiosity will come in. Wacha pia mimi ni feel. Nione at least vile au anasikia. That's where the curiosity will come in. Then from there, hapo ndo mali zote utaanza kuiconsume. The moment now when you get that the satisfaction they are talking about, you'll be hooked up with those things. But if you can still avoid that by walking away. So it depends on your principles and discipline. Yeah.
I also think kama being raised up in that social or whatever can influence. I think yes, it can influence, because at that time you're in a very young stage and you don't know what is good and what is wrong. So if the surrounding shows you that what you're doing is correct, you will keep that in mind, it's correct. And when you grow up, you'll grow up with the mentality like, me taking alcohol, it's not bad. You see? And the more I consume alcohol, is the more I'll get like attached to alcohol. And I think that's where the addiction will come from, okay?
I heard you. Yeah, everyone had that, yeah? Yeah. You had a point? No, okay. What about I have a point on psychological trauma.
Hapo kwa
Traumas.
psychological trauma, hebu explain further. Ndio tukaelewa.
First, so psychological trauma would really umbrella the stress part of it, will really umbrella the depression part of it. There is a point in life where everything is not working out for you, and you are really tortured mentally. So a lot of people tend to really direct their thought on the fact that nikikunywa pombe I'll be fine, or rather if I do drugs I'll forget about what is happening. And then bit by bit, because it's step by step, progressively you get yourself into the addiction. I don't know if someone disagrees or you all agree. Yes.
It is true. I'll narrow it down by life pressures, whereby you have, for example, you have lost your loved one, and you think, and there a lot of stress comes in, and you don't know what to do, and it's so unfortunate that most of the people tend to go for the alcohol, and we really want to know that it is not, alcohol is not the only way to curb that stress, to get away from that stress. And yeah.
Yeah, hapo pia kwa psychological psychological trauma, there's something it is always believed that when you engage in substance it boosts your confidence. Unaona sa that ka low low self esteem yenye niko hivi wechenye unaona kwako ni kasoroka zote. You cannot face people with that, but you need to take in something, at least to make sure that your confidence is there, you can face people. So I think hapo pia kwa nini the psychological stuff, there's a part of low self-esteem that can really cause you to get to that point.
Yeah, and you need to fill up the void. Yeah.
And I would also add attention. There are those people who go to drugs so that they may get the attention. Like I was reading of a clip, yeah, a certain girl mwenye alikuwa anasika attention by drugging herself, apate attention to the family. So every time ndio akuwe msick, anajidrag.
Yeah, that has also been experienced before, right? What about physical trauma? This is where kuna mahali unaumwa kabisa, maybe unaumwa na kichwa, ama maybe tuseme umegongwa, umevunjika, ama you understand, eh? Or let's take a case of cancer patients. You see, most of them believe in doing weed so that it really ipoeshe hiyo maumivu. What about that? What can you say about that? Because that is physical trauma. You feel the pain. Yes.
It might. You never know. Okay, story na the cancer and the weed, hapo na you'll never know kabisa. Unaona? I don't mean to judge and all that. There's this movie that I watched, but they mupenda sana Madia and her two friends. There's this just to funny about them. They're taking advantage of the prescription to abuse the weed. Unaona? It can happen. In that scenario, it can happen. But okay, if you are talking about that physical nini, let's not focus on the hard drugs pia. Unaona? The soft drugs, these medicinal prescriptions are madaktari ama nini. A perfect example ni kichwa kuuma. Unaona? Kichwa kiuma hivi kidogo mara moja. There's some other alternatives to cool down the headache, but tunakimbilia hizo over the counter drugs. Unaona? That, I think for me, that can be a perfect example of abusing the drugs. No, no. Let's try to look at both ways, that abusing substances or drugs is not just the hard drugs, the bang, mira, and all that. That is easy to use medications. It can also be abused. You need to just a small nini umeitumia, a small umeitumia. Yeah.
So I think that is also right, because I personally experienced that. I had a friend who really wanted me to organize them certain type of drug. It's a pain relief drug, but a doctor can't give you just on a normal condition. There are those conditions as to when you can be subjected to such. And so I was asking him, why do you want this? Ananiambia mimi nikiumwa na kichwa ni meze the normal paracetamols, sijui nini. It doesn't help. So they wanted the harder one. And the more you do it, the more you get into it. And it has also an effect that when you use the other ones, it cannot work on you anymore. And so bit by bit, I realized hata yani addict were the same. So you understand, eh? Yes. So from the causes of drug addiction, well, I want us to talk about the effects of drug addiction. The effects of drug addiction. Yeah, or rather, or we can say effects of drug addiction, and we can say we can talk about what about emotional effects, what about physical effects, what about health effects. Yeah, we can go in that order.
Okay, one for me, I have one major point that's just a cause for everything, repercussion for everything. It drains your finances, kabisa. No, no. It drains your finances, kabisa, because you have the cash, you need the drug. No matter how expensive it is, you will still buy. No, no. It continues, it continues, it continues. Actually, that's so the nini when you ukunywa. Wow, unanangao, most of them complain about being broke and all that, because the moment they get their money, ni wapi ndo inaenda kwanza. Haifiki home, the first place ni kwa bar. Unaona, so it drains your financial ni situation ama stability, that ka finance whatever kabisa. Yeah.
So I think that is a perfect example of the economical effect of drugs. Like huwezi kuwa na finances, like you'll always use them to purchase substances. Yeah, you understand? Okay, someone else.
Another one is as you lose your social network, whereby you withdraw yourself from others, and you cannot get yourself socializing with people because of this drug addiction.
It puts your job at risk, whereby you get more glued to these drugs, and sometimes you forget about your job, or at times you go to your job drunk and you behave abnormally.
Okay, someone else.
Health risk. To put your health at risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, hapo kwa health kwanza, you see these people abusing drugs, they majorly end up having brain problems, liver problems, and it's something we should really look at with a lot of keenness. Someone else?
It may also cause accidents, like it may also cause accidents, like continuous. When you use the drug, you won't act normally, and that may you won't act normally, and that may lead to you having an accident. That is, for example, if you're taking cocaine and you mix cocaine with other drugs, and then you drive, maybe it can cause a car accident, which may eventually lead to death, and more injuries.
Okay.
Actually, ameisema death.
Okay. Death, yeah.
Because you can see how many drug abusers, where they always end up. Most of them will recover, yes, but kuna wenye wamechukua the overdose, more quantity than what they're supposed to take. Yenye mwili and the immune system haiwezi kubali kabisa. They just end up, forgive me for my language, but they just end up dying. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about impaired judgments, like you guys using substances or drug or people abusing drug. It's not even recommended. Hata ukiwaka kwa factories, they will tell you don't operate machinery while sijui drunk or high or doing the same. Ukitoka huko hizo mabash zenu, kama umelewa ufai kudrive, like these are things that happen, and si ati ni mambo hatujui, mnazijua, si ndio? Yeah.
Another effect of drug abuse, there is the family problems, in that you can term it as domestic violence, whereby if one is under the influence of a certain drug, he or she is most probably to be very violent to another person. Maybe there will be more marital problems in the family, where you can find if the head of the family, the father, who abuses drug or maybe is an alcoholic, there are higher chances of him coming home and abusing the mother and the children. And then another consequence is that there are possibilities of contracting diseases such as HIV, whereby others may use or share the syringe. Yeah.
Those are good points. Another effect of drugs is the legal consequences. Tukikupata na bangi, si tutakushika na tukufunge. So that is what they say. So legal consequences is also another effect. And when you are arrested or you are imprisoned, the effect it brings back to your schooling. If you're going to school, if you had a job, you might lose it. So these are things that are interrelated. The effects of drugs are interrelated. She talked about health, she also talked about he also talked about death. Homicides mingi huko juu ya drugs, and overdose and unapata mtu amejikata wrist juu alikuwa sijui nini. And you talked about contracting diseases, those who are using hard stuffs, those that are injectables. So the ones that are injectables unashare na wewe, and that's it. Yeah. So because we went from science to causes to effects, we have to find a solution to every problem. These are things that are facing the youths outside there, the youths in our church, the youths in our homes, our siblings. So at least we address someone, at least we reach someone with a prevention or a prevention measure towards drugs addiction. So anyone with a point would just flash them.
Okay. One major problem about these drugs is that they are readily available to anyone. Zinaweza patikana anywhere. Unaona? So, okay, mnaweza nisaidia kumalizia hapo. Hiyo major problem ni anyone. Okay, sisi sema if kama zinaweza tolewa zote, because that's impossible. Yeah.
So I think you're talking about maybe imposing stringent measures on how to acquire drugs, like wanasemanga 18 years, but we should at least we should have a more detailed way of maybe acquiring drugs, because Warren unaweza kuwa ni 18 ama anaweza kuwa ako 17 akitoshana hivi, but ukiingia by the ukiingia kwenda kutafuta utapewa juu maybe wamekuja juu ya height, you see. So I think more rules, or rather more measures to be put in place for maybe accessing the drugs. Yes, that is a good point. Another prevention.
We should create public awareness of the effects of drugs and its abuse, and make sure that all increase the awareness of these drugs to the teens and maybe to the individuals, so that they may not get used to taking the drugs.
Yeah, let us educate the public, let us educate the people around us, now that we are a panel of people or experts on drugs and addiction, ambia mtu at least reach someone, tell them about drugs ni mbaya, mwambie drugs haiwezi, unaona vitu kama hizo. So I think that is also a good point. Another point?
Another point is that when you, before, let's say, for those who have mental illness disorder like the depression, anxiety, they should seek attention to the psychiatrists and the psychologists, in that you seek help, own up. You should actually seek help, and that will help you to avoid being addicted to a certain drug.
Alafu, in the situation where you're pressured by your friends and all that, okay, in such a situation, an individual needs to know, first of all, like, niko hapa sai, where do I see myself in the next, say, 5 to 10 years? I want to achieve all that. Unaona. Check your circle. If your circle is the kind that will not help you get there, just walk away. Because I'd rather you have one friend who will build you and help you go far than have a million who will take you nowhere. Unaona? Hakuna mwenye amekuwa crucified kukaa peke yake. Hakuna mwenye shaikufa juana marafiki. Having many friends per day has never been an achievement. If you have that kind of circle when you're using those substances is just a normal thing to them, just walk away. Save yourself while you still can. Because the moment umeingia kwa hiyo shimo, kutoka itakuwa ngumu, and before you realize, God forbid, ikuwe too late. Then everything you are working for, everything you wanted to work for, all your plans, all your vision, all your goals, zimeenda kwa waste hivyo. All in all, just walk away. Yeah.
Also keep yourself busy and also work with a therapist. If you're going through the drug addiction, it is not over yet. Just accept that you are addicted and work with a therapist. Yes, because at the end you will be a better person.
Okay, she's talked about seeking medical attention. Yeah, drug addiction is actually a disease that is, you can go through a series of processes or therapy and get out of it. So you need to seek medical attention. You also need to manage, you should know how to manage peer pressure, because if you don't manage your peer pressure, then you might end up being into drugs and addiction. And as she's saying, you need to really maybe find a way of doing your things. Like you don't have to do drugs to because maybe you're depressed, or there's always a way of getting out of those situations.
Another preventive measures to the teens, they should be educated about self-esteem. We can actually find that at the age of the young teens, they struggle with self-esteem. They do not accept how they are. Maybe their physical appearance. We should actually reach out to them and tell them that they are important and they look beautiful. Do not just look at your physical appearance, because by the next maybe 5 years, 10 years, you'll be somewhere great. Do not let small things to pull you down to let you get into some things or things that are harmful to your health.
Maybe to add, we all know that people suffer in this addiction and they don't talk about it. And I will emphasize again, seek help. Seek help from the relevant individuals. Maybe here in church, you can get from our patrons, our matron, our pastor. Yes, seek help, seek help, seek help. And also remember to pray about it. Just pray about it, and eventually you'll get yourself out of addiction.
You have a point? Okay.
Also, just to add on that, a habit is a disease. Before it becomes a disease, We sometimes you get other people struggling emotionally without even if you don't have anyone to seek help to. The one we have many questions, but the only answer is God. He is the owner of everything. He is always ready. He says that, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy burdened. I will lift up your yoke." Christ is the answer to everything. We may have many questions, but the only answer is God. And also, everything may be permissible, but not everything is beneficial. If you see that, if you look at drugs is not beneficial to your life, let it, just cancel it. Cancel the things that do not help your life in certain ways. And another thing, choose, good company, a bad company corrupts good moral. And also, be principled. If you see a certain person who's down, try to help. You are your brother's keeper. Yes.
So basically, what I would say is, if you have
Wait. One more thing. Chikamenikumbusha. Even to us who we tend to be perfect, upright, and all that, let's not judge those who are abusing, because we could also be a major problem to them. Unaona, shida isiyo peke. Let's also look at us, because forgive me to say this, there's this one thing about us Christians: we judge a lot. Am I wrong? Am I right? We judge a lot, and that judging, it can cause this other person. It will bring the low self-esteem and those other things. Unaona, and they look for alternatives. Let us not judge. Nini, tusiwa judge. We see someone in trouble, in that situation, approach him or her, ongea na yeye, then help the person to get help. Usimweke mbali. Bring him closer to you na umsaidie.
So that is, I think that is so clear. Outside there, let us not judge. In a family setup, let us not judge. And I wanted to say, treat emotional illness. Emotional illness, abusing drug is not the treatment. There is a specific treatment for emotional illness. So it should be treated so that you don't get yourself abusing drugs. Yes. So I think we have really exhausted something, but I wanted us to have a discussion, like something open, like the effects. Let us talk about the effect of drug abuse. One, to our churches. Effect of drug abuse to our churches. Sasa mimi ningekuwa na abuse drugs, effect yangu kwa hii church ingekuwaje? Like kama kungekuwa na effect.
I don't know if I'm going against that question, but I think one thing is that people tend to perceive things in a different way. We can actually take this verse from the book of Ecclesiastes, where enjoy while you're still young, enjoy while you're still a youth. You see, when we bring it back to church, somebody will say, somebody will come and ask you or approach you as a Christian. The Bible inasema, like, you should enjoy while you're still young. But hatutend kumalizia the last part. Tunafaa kumalizia, but at the end of it all, God is going to judge you. And then back to bring to the effects, there is judgment. The way he has said, I think we just attack
Utakuwa
things.
solo. Utabaki peke yako, by the way.
I think maybe the church has not yet accepted the other people. We can be a church of 3,000 people, but only, let's say, 1,000 are saved. You see? I think maybe somebody can conquer, back it up, bounce it up.
I think the point I wanted us to drive is home. Like, but I should have put it, what is the effect of church?
Okay, the effects of drugs or to the church peer. Let me speak as a person who does worship, unaona. As a minister, you're abusing drugs. You're using drugs to help you in the pulpit. That will be the perfect reason for people to backslide. It will be a major cause, because as a minister, remember, people are looking at you. Unaona, people are looking at you. God has used you. You are actually an instrument of God to bring people to Him. unaona. But if you use this thing to help you out, ukuje church kama umelewa, alafu ndo unafanya praise and worship your time, utabaki unaimba, you have a good voice. People will just be mesmerized by how your lovely voice is, but they will not get that presence of God, unaona. So hiyo umewatoa nje ya madhabahu kabisa, and you have failed as a minister, unaona. If you're using the cocaine and such stuff, do you really want to go through the embarrassment of kupatasisha mbele ya watu on a Sunday morning and una stream? Kumbuka, also see church peke yake ndio inakuona. There also are a million more people who are looking at you. Unaona. People are depending on you to bring them to God, but you as a minister, you are. So the question they'll have is, kama mtu wa Mungu ndo anajifanya hivi, mtu wa kanisa ndo anajifanya hivi, sasa mbona mimi nijeke kuwa perfect? Why should you be preaching water and you're drinking wine? No. So you will bring people out of the presence of God kabisa. And for you to bring them back, I'm a human being. If I see you mess up, uta cooperate, yes, but the first impression already ulishatengeneza. I will not listen to you again. I'll just continue with my wayward life. Why? Because you did it. No.
I wanted us to talk about the effects on churches, or the churches, or how church might affect, and I need this side to give me the effect of that, or rather the relationships, affects the relationships. Kuna venye relationship inafanyanga mtu anakuwa or ana get to drugs, or kuna venye drugs zinaweza fanya relationships zikwest juu ya aje, like any effect that relationship, and I don't mean romantic relationships alone. There are family relationships, there are romantic there are job relationships. So what is the effect? Yes. Anyone from this side? Anyone?
Drugs may affect your relationship in that you may change your priorities. The way you used to love someone, you shift from loving that person, you start loving drugs more when you are more addicted to the drug.
Someone else? How about job, your relationship at work?
As for job, once you're addicted to taking the drug, it will reduce your performance. Like your performance at job will go down, and that may cause you to get fired, or because if you're not being productive, you shouldn't be in that place in the first place.
Okay, so before we finalize, I want us to talk about last point that I think is very important, but none of us have mentioned it. Now we have these people that are addicts. They've gone through a process of therapy, and they are good. Then there's something that is called relapse. How do we manage relapse? How do we manage relapse? Do you know what relapse is? It's that phase that yes, relapse. So how do we manage relapse? Briefly, how do we manage relapse? Because relapse happens. Kuna watu washaiacha pombe, wakaenda kanisa, and then after some time, tena wana. How do we manage relapse? I don't think we should talk about addiction and drugs without telling people outside there how we would manage the relapse.
For me, I'm not so sure about this, but okay, niko na points mob sana. So mtanielewa niseme. Number one, a person who was suffering from mwenye alikuanga an addict akishapona, as a friend, a companion, or whatever, just be there for him. Unaona? Be there for him. Give him that support that he needs. Then secondly, alisema, keep your mind busy. Unaona? Because mostly, in some cases, relapse inafanyika when a person is idle. Unaona? Keep yourself busy. Si ulikuwa na spend time yako ku abuse drugs. Why? Because you had nothing to do. Now find something to do that will keep you occupied. In the morning, amka, go do some exercise. Once hiyo kishafanyika, just come back home, freshen up, pumzika kiasi, then just find something to do. Unaona? Find something to do. Alafu ya tatu ilikuwa gani? Zimepotea, nitazikumbuka. Yeah, kumeditate and all that. Yeah, you can continue while the points zinakuja. Zilikuwa zimevaporate ka zote.
Also, the moment you are talking about keeping yourself busy, maybe a certain percentage, a certain people wanaweza believe that keeping yourself busy inaweza kwa, I think tunafaa kumalizia in other things but not related to drugs. You see, like we should actually include keep yourself busy by reading books. We can term it as replace addiction with something else. Yeah, something constructive. We should actually replace. I can, maybe if somebody's addicted in a certain, let me bring about music, addicted to secular music. You can replace it with gospel music. You see, if I'm addicted to drugs, I'll keep myself busy being knowledgeable about drugs, you see, but not reminding. At some point, meditation can bring up, there will be negative thoughts, whereby you'll remember that I was using drugs, I was really feeling high, my self-esteem ilienda juu. Can somebody agree with that? Yeah. Like while you're taking drugs, your self-esteem inaweza kuwa extreme, but not the healthy self-esteem. We should actually, mtu asi keep in mind, keep busy, meditate on things that is related to drugs, but something constructive.
Nimepatiwa point moja. Keep away from bad company. Au marafiki wa kitambo wenye walikuwa wanakuweka kwa hizi hiyo nini, just keep off from them. Keep off from them. Tafuta marafiki wenye watakusaidia. Those will help you. Those will help you build your life. Those will help you achieve your goals. But if you have friends wenye mostly their work was to just destroy you, wenye wakisha kukall manzi kuja kwa hii base, kuja kwa hii corner, there's something for you, just keep off from them. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard, by the way. Your story na relapsing and all that, there's that kaaji itakuja. It's gonna be hard. Haitishi hivyo at once. It's a gradual process. But at the end of the day, at the end of it all, just become victorious. Yeah, and all in all, be disciplined, be principled.
Thank you for this discussion. Drug addiction is a complex disease that really need to be addressed. And we all need to really help someone outside there or reach someone, really talk to someone. People outside there also need to really help in awareness, educate someone, and help them know that they're not alone. And by the people that are outside there, or the people that are inside or are into drug addiction, just know you are not the only one. They are such kind, and collectively we can help each other grow or rather get out of that. And any other problem that you have that might lead to drug is treatable, just like any other chronic disease, cancer, diabetes. Drugs addiction can also be treated. There are facilities that are assigned to deal with that, and we all need to direct our problems to the right channel, because if we don't direct them to the right channels, it will end up turning towards us, like it will affect us. So to everyone outside there who really might want to join the conversation or rather reach someone to talk to, you can reach our Vicar's number, or you can reach our Vicar's through his number 0724 90 7774. Thank you for watching.